There we go. Hi, my name is Wanda Miller. I'm the Assistant Director at the John Germain Memorial Library in Sag Harbor. I've been conducting a series of local spotlight interviews to capture the experiences of our local community during the COVID-19 pandemic. These interviews are being recorded as historical documents to be used in the library archive. They may also be posted to library social media as we work to help create community connections. We're trying to help people feel that we're all in this situation together and nobody is by themselves. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm really happy to see you and introduce Michael Heller. He's a photojournalist and he works for local newspapers. Thank you, Michael, for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
My first question is a little redundant to the introduction. And it kind of starts with, what is your name?
Michael Heller.
Thank you. If you're willing, what year were you born?
I was born in 1957.
Thank you. How long have you been in Sag Harbor?
Well, that's an interesting question because how you define in Sag Harbor. I'm third generation East Hampton, and I've been coming to Sag Harbor, for many years. If you want to define it as working in Sag Harbor, I started working for the Sag Harbor Express in 2006. So that makes 13. Well, this will be my 14th year working for the paper. So I kind of use that benchmark, and I guess you'd say I've been in Sag Harbor for 14 years.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
And what sort of work do you do? And
I'm a photographer, primarily a photojournalist, but I do all sorts of photography, documentary, weddings, parties, product, you name it, portraits, family portraits, any kind. Just kind of a jack of all trades in photography.
Thank you. And I forgot to mention that you're also an author.
I am an author of sorts. I mean, I've put some books together. I do write, but it's basically they've been historical texts. So I basically compile history and put them in a format that people can enjoy, hopefully,
Thank you. How has COVID-19 changed your business and your work?
Well, when the pandemic first struck in the mid-March, the newspaper, well, I'm gonna go back a few steps. Last summer, as many of you know, the Sag Harbor Express purchased the Southampton Press and the East Hampton Press. And so at that time, the three publications became under the same umbrella, published by Gavin Manu, who published up to that point the Sag Harbor Express only. And so he became publisher of all three editions. And so when the pandemic struck in March, he was faced in a situation where, like many people, how is he going to keep the business afloat? Because the paper, as many people realize or don't realize, probably 90% of the funds or income of the paper that newspapers that keep them afloat comes from advertising. And when everything shut down in March, they lost, at least 3/4, if not more, of their advertising. And so he had to make some decisions about what he was going to do. And what he did was he decided that they would basically combine all three papers into one for the time being. And the only difference would be that they would have a different front A section for each edition. For the East Hampton Press, Southampton Press, and Sag Harbor Express, the first section of each paper would be local to that area. And then the intersections, the editorial, the opinion sections and art sections and stuff like that would be the same for all three editions. So that was the first step he took. And then unfortunately, the second step they had to take was to furlough probably, I'd say 90-95% of the employees at the paper. I was one of those people who got furloughed. And even though I'm not a staff member of the paper, I'm freelance, they had to slash their budget, which included freelancers. And so it's only been, I'd say about a month that they've started to bring me back on again, very slowly, 1 or 2 assignments a week. And we've had a lot of complaints from people. Oh, we don't like the fact that it's all 3 editions in one paper, and that kind of thing. And we miss our old Sag Harbor Express. That's its own publication. But it was that, or have the business go under. So during the height of the pandemic, it was basically Gavin, his wife Catherine, who is the editor-in-chief, and 2 or 3 production people just to lay the paper out and get it off to the printer. They were the only ones working. The rest of us filed for unemployment, and we're not back by any stretch of the imagination. We're putting out some nice editions, but I'd say our staffing is really only back up maybe about 25%, from what it was before. And it's a wait and see kind of thing. They're going to have to see, where it goes from here. If the advertising picks up again, they can start hiring more people back, but it's been a rocky road. And I had to look for, income elsewhere during that time,
Yeah. I can understand that. Have you ever experienced anything like this before?
No, I don't know anybody else who has. I mean, unless they were old enough to be in the 1918 pandemic, But this is unprecedented, and I'm sure in my lifetime and anyone else's too.
How has it changed you personally?
Ooh, well, I don't know if it's changed me that much personally, like my personality, but I I've had a lot of time to think, when you're not working, you're at home, you have a lot of time to think. So if I had to say anything, I'd say that, it gave us a lot of time for self-reflection and, who am I, what am I doing in this world? What are my goals, that kind of thing like that. So there's been a lot of time for that. I don't know that I've changed all that much as a result, but it gave it gave all of us a real opportunity to do some reflection, I think.
Thank you. What routines are different for you?
Really not that much different. I mean, I think I was fortunate in the fact that because I was freelancer for the paper, I work out of my house, and my home is my office. And when all of us were required to stay at home and not go out, I was home, and it was I maybe just wasn't driving around as much or going to photograph as many things out and about. But I still got up in the morning, went and got my coffee in the morning, and came back and worked from my office like I do. And then there's the masks and all that kind of thing. So and the sanitizing your hands and that kind of thing like that. So that was really the only changes that I had to make, which I have no problem doing.
Right. You probably saw a change in the amount of events as well.
It went to 0.
Yeah.
So yes, there was a huge change in the number of events. Yeah. I mean, summertime is when the benefits happen, and I would work every year for the for South Fork Natural History Museum. I photographed their benefit every year. There was the Hampton Classic. I'm the house photographer for Bay Street Theater, and they shut down, so I lost all that. I was supposed to this past summer, I was supposed to go on tour with a band that I work for, an internationally known band, and they were coming. They're based in Britain, and they were coming to the United States for a 5-week tour. First time coming to the States, and that all got canceled. So that was a disappointment. But I think, speaking personally, I've always been the kind of person that will just roll with things. You kind of, if you want to keep your sanity, you just kind of have to. I think you have to just kind of roll with the changes and do the best you can, and just go with it and cross your fingers and hope for the best, and hope it gets back to quote unquote normal routine.
Yeah. What do you think things might look like for yourself and the business for the future?
Well, I think that's hard to say. I mean, I know that the other half of my photography that I do is real estate photography, and I don't know if people have heard or read that real estate right now is absolutely on fire. And so I mean, fortunately, I set things up in my life so that the newspaper was my only source of income. And so the real estate photography has really picked up the slack, and it's been keeping me very busy. So I'm very fortunate in that respect, and it's still busy. I mean, in June, I think I photographed 45 properties in June. Um, so it's rolling pretty hard right now. I'm going to ride that wave as long as I can. You know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else about the experience that you would like to share?
Well, other than just what's topical, you know, I mean, the whole issue of face masks. One of the things I'm proud of doing and participating in is many of you have seen the Wear a Mask campaign on Main Street in Sag Harbor. I was asked by the village to do all the photography for the banners, and I was happy to do that. Including the big one that's on from the municipal building right now. My
I
picture's
think
up
we
on there.
received a couple for the library too.
What's that?
I think we just received a couple for the library too.
Oh, okay, great. Yes, I know. I know. You know, Catherine Creedon was one of the people I photographed, and then we went back and did a second session, I think, of like 15 or 20 more people to make more banners for Sag Harbor. And then last week, I was approached through the art director, Bob Weinstein, to do the same thing for Southampton Village. So those banners will be going up soon in Southampton Village. And I spent the day in Village Hall in Southampton last week photographing 25 different people for their program. And I'm proud to be part of that. You know, it makes you feel like you're actually participating in something. You know, you're not just sitting around watching this thing happen, you're actually participating and contributing, and it makes me feel good.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good project. Yeah. And it probably links to my next question. Are there things that you think would help with the recovery at all?
Yeah. I mean, I think that I'm, you know, I'm not sure how opinionated I should be here, but I think I'm absolutely astounded at people who take offense when people ask them to wear a mask. I'm astounded that people discredit the medical professionals who say it's necessary to wear a mask, or that it impinges on their personal freedoms. I kind of don't get it. I just think, you know, we're all human. We're all living together, and this is not a time to be, you know, being selfish or you know, you can't tell me what to do or that kind of thing like that. I mean, this is way bigger than all of us. And so I hope that people will start to come around and see that, you know, we really do need to do all this together. I think what's happening in the South right now with the resurgence of the COVID is opening some people's eyes. And hopefully, you know, my hope is that they'll get that under control and that people will start to get it. And then in a few months' time, you know, we'll be, all of us as a country, getting back to, you know, inhibiting the spread and stopping the virus and getting back to normal, you know.
Thank you. Do you think that there's any support the library can provide towards the recovery or the community or anything?
I think just spreading awareness, you know. I think if the library promoted, not so much discussion, but promoted examples of articles or information provided by the medical community. If there is a breakthrough or another finding, the CDC finds something, or there's a breakthrough in the vaccine, or they do another study and they find that it's better to do X, Y, or Z. I think the library as a source of information could help spread that. You know, the more people, the more eyes and ears you can reach, I think the better. You know.
Yeah, that would be great. We have a FAQ page that's up on the website, and we keep putting updates up on there.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that'll reach people too.
Yeah, I just think it's, you know, having something that's maybe a little more current, you know, as changes happen, you know, the library could say that here's a new article that just came out about masks, or here's a new article that came out about the spread of the disease, you know, check this out, kind of thing. Because, you know, I think a lot of people do look to the library for source of information. You know?
Sounds good. We'll try. We'll do our best.
Well, you guys have always done great. So yeah.
Yeah. Have there been any silver linings for you or anything that's inspired you during these times?
Um, I'll say, yeah. I mean, yes and no. I mean, yes, mostly that you do. The self-reflection that I referred to before was part of it. It's not often you do get a chance to just put the brakes on your life and stop and look around you and go, okay, where am I? Where am I going next? What am I doing? And you have actually a few days or a couple of weeks to actually sit and think about it, because usually you're so busy running your life that you don't even have time to do that. So it gave you a chance to do that. And I think also, in many cases, not all cases, but in many cases, it gave us all a chance to remind ourselves about who we mean to each other, and our friends, and that we're all in this together and we're sharing this experience. And I think in some cases it brought people closer together. So I think that's a little bit of a silver lining too.
That's awesome. Thank you. That was actually my last question. I don't know if you have anything else that you'd like to add.
No, just I appreciate the offer of being here and sharing this. And I hope everyone will just choose to be safe and choose to look past themselves and their own personal needs. And until this is all over, really kind of just do this together and look out for your neighbor and make sure they're safe and you're safe, and use a little extra courtesy on the street when you're driving. You see some cases of that and some cases you don't, but the more of that you see, the better, I think. So that's my hope.
Thank you. Does
Thank you.
anyone else here in the audience have any questions for Michael while we have him? Okay, it doesn't seem like it.
Okay.
So thank you, Michael. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. And thank you for offering.
Oh, it was great to talk to you.
Well, you too. Thanks. I'll get that form to you. I'll stop downtown tomorrow. What's the best way